Welcome to UAT Game Studios. This is Milestone for Week 12. We're going to begin with Morpheus.
So, I'm Todd Dickinson. I'm a programmer on Morpheus. Roger's sick today, so I'll be doing the presentation instead, unfortunately. Oh. I always forget where the freeze button is. Cool. So this is an area that combines all of the levels that our designers have been working on building out. It's coming together. It's not in the build that we're going to show, but it's coming together really nicely. It looks good, and it plays pretty good too. This is one of the areas, the Dusty Dunes transitional area. Dakota worked on this level. I think it's like one of the more interesting levels that we have, but that's just my bias. No offense, Jerry, I like your level too. This is the main island. One of our online designers, Ashley Bangs, has been working on, and she's just great at everything she does. I believe this is just concept art and some start of some white boxing for the area. This is some more concept art and white boxing for that same area. This is a forest transitional area that I believe Ryan Thompson has been working on. He's an online student. Actually play tested this level with Roger a couple of days ago, and we started giving him some feedback. Oops. Yeah, okay. Once again, we have the Glacier Gorge area. It's making a lot of really good progress. I believe this is John's baby, so it'll be good. We have a lot more, but I'm just going to start with the build. First, I have this checklist. We've been doing a lot of interactions with our fan base on Twitter and Facebook. Adam knows a lot more about that than I do. But we did have a YouTuber do a Let's Play of our public pre-alpha build. He was at Comic-Con and he got access to that, so he actually played that, and that was really motivating. Let me just start the build. And Dakota's gonna drive it.
How long is the Let's Play?
It's like 9 minutes or so. It's just this one area.
Can you pull it up after the build?
Yeah. So it's really just this one area for now in our public build, just to kind of give an idea of what Morpheus is going to be. See if you go grab the sword. Yeah.
Mine is
B, I think.
B?
Yeah.
Have you used control yet?
It's the left bumper to sprint if you want.
Okay.
So right now the player doesn't have access to any of the forms, and each of those medallions on the wall will give the player access to a form. And if you hit X, you see that he can now shapeshift to the form he just acquired and use it to explore that area. You go over to the Magball area. So the triggers to move it.
Triggers, okay. How do you drop it?
Press B.
Okay.
So Magball can still affect metal things, and you can use it to open up pathways and things like that. Can you change to the hero real quick?
Yeah.
And just just go over to your left and activate that pedestal. So this is one of the things we've been working on, is just using these sword pedestals to activate different things. And the different areas have the different sword pedestals. For now there's these 3 here, and there's one up on the mountain behind the mag ball area, but when they're all activated they open the door, and that's about it for this area of the build, and that's all we're going to show off just for time. So yeah, the rest of the world is under construction and it's coming along really well.
Can you pull up that YouTube?
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, guys? ACA Professor for Gaming here, and today I'm going to be playing a game that is not even out yet. This is a pre-alpha build of the new game Morpheus. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to jump right into this and kind of see what happens. I've messed around with it a little bit,
We won't watch all
but
of it.
nothing like too deep into the game. So, yeah, here we are. So,
Did you like
this
it?
game, you're basically this kind of spirit-looking human, and you can morph into different creatures. So there's like a rat,
Should've just done
and
this
like
for your game build.
a spider, and like all these different things you can become. But first, I think we have to go grab the sword. So I'm just gonna walk over here. Oh, I can also sprint. So this game, like I said, is in pre-alpha. I got a chance to play this at Phoenix Comic-Con. So I played that, I got to talk to one of the developers, and it was a really cool experience seeing this. This is a newer build, so this is even different from when I played it, but it's pretty amazing actually to see this game.
Pretty amazing. Awesome. That's cool. So yeah, see? Going to an event and you get a guy streaming it. So that's awesome. Who's next?
Nice work.
Lauren, did you see that yet? Their video?
Where
The West
am I?
We'll send it to you. What? Yeah, they've been doing a lot of social media stuff.
Good morning, guys. I am Austin Harrington, the team lead on Call Center Simulator. I want to talk a little bit about what we've been working on over the last 3 weeks. To start, I want to talk about the Game Jam. I was super impressed with my team. We got 192 hours out of my team in 2.5 days. Absolutely insane. To start with designers, we started working on our sandbox concept. So we worked out what it was going to be. We paper mapped, we whiteboxed, we implemented. We have 4 areas on one level of a multi-tiered building. So each floor of this building will work almost like an instance. It'll mean that each of the 4 game spaces are correlated with different game modes. And so if we have to spawn 2 versions of a game, we'll just go up to the second floor and do that. So they'll be similar, it'll be modular, so the different spaces will rotate, so it's not the same thing on every floor. But we're really happy with where that's gone. Beyond that, you saw we had assets in there. So because of the way that we're doing online, we have to generate scripts to tell the server to spawn objects, and this requires creating snapshot entities. So what we did was what Ryan McDonald, our lead programmer, did was created a plugin for Unity that allows us to generate code for every object in 3 clicks. I'm going to show a little bit more about that when we get to programming, but we were able to generate 107 lines of code in less than a week. Pretty damn impressive, and it was all designers doing it. We didn't have to have the programmers deal with that, so that was awesome. Moving on to art, we had, again, a bunch of art kind of came out of the Game Jam and after. So obviously we've gotten some textures on some of our objects. One of the things that we're pushing is we want to have different brands. So we have Something instead of Samsung. We have the Snapper brand stapler that almost looks like it's the Corvette of staplers. We've got a fax machine with 2 working drawers, an interactive phone, so we can do a lot of interesting things there. We have textured our chair, which looks really good. We've gotten a line desk model with our first texture set. Obviously, we've got blinds. Actually, there are even more states of these blinds. I just wanted to show a few of them, but they are kind of modular, so it's not going to look the same all over the environment. More art. We had our ceiling tiles. We have a corkboard that's part of our menu system. We have a poster frame that is actually for motivational posters, so we can have some super cheesy motivational posters in the game. We textured our half desks. We've got a whiteboard. And I think most importantly, Brandon put together our second gun, our revolver. This is a huge part of our gameplay. We're really impressed with it, and we can't wait to see it textured, but this was a big undertaking, and we're really happy that with the quality of the result. Moving on for programming, we were able to build a prototype finally of our global movement system. It's great. We are looking forward to showing that. It won't be today. We will get into that in a second. We also started working on loading and cocking functionality for the gun. From what I understand, as of last night, it was working. It was not working on the server yet. So we have the functionality there. It's just a matter of getting Schema to interact with it, which we were having some difficulties with last night. Beyond that, we've implemented a round timer so that we can start getting into a gamified experience in the next sprint. But we're feeling really good about that. We've already got scoring, which we had demonstrated earlier this semester. So we're really getting there. By the end of the semester, we should have a round system. We can do 2-on-2 multiplayer and kind of have that whole gamified experience. I talked a little bit about the Monster Vault editor that we created, which is our plugin. So to give an idea of what we do, very simply, we select an object, we click this top button that I can't even read on this screen, which will take all of the, basically the coordinates, the X, Y, Z, and rotation of an object. You can go down to create a snapshot entity, which I believe is the bottom button. 3 clicks and you have generated the code for each object. That's how we were able to get 807 individual objects coded spawning in our multiplayer system. The build is going to be interesting. Ben just asked to talk about problems with production. So one of the things that we have been talking about with the school from week 2 is that the power supply in the computer that we are running our server off of is below minimum spec for the Oculus Rift. It exploded last night. We cannot run our server today. So we're going to show you some stuff in build through the engine, but unfortunately our computer blew up and almost started a fire at 3 o'clock in the morning last night. So let's see what we've got. And hopefully Josh knows we're here. Okay. So this is our sandbox level. This is the first level of our sandbox building. And so as you can see, there are 4 individual game spaces here that all correspond with different game modes. The center area is going to be our menu system. So we'll have, currently we're looking at a corkboard system where you will be able to determine whether you want to start a match, what you would like to queue for, and that kind of thing, kind of right where you spawn in. So it'll be a nice little social area. As you can see, this is an area that was designed by Alex Schlegel. This one was mine. This is for a game mode called Dollar for Dollar. This is our hub area, which is still in process. As you can see, it's a pretty big space, and it runs pretty great once we're running off of an executable. The next area to the left, if Josh finds it, he is watching the stream from what I understand. So as you can see, we didn't have the assets for the cubicle desks. So we're still working on that. Those will be in for the next sprint. This is the area that Josh designed. But as you can see, they're similar layouts because in a call center, everything's kind of the same. But we wanted to create some different kinds of cover for our game modes so that each area doesn't feel the same, and we are going to have different kinds of game modes in each area. You can see some of our assets in game. Obviously, some of them aren't textured, some of them are, but we are definitely getting there. The art has come so far over the course of the last sprint that I can't begin to tell you how proud I am of our team. So that is where we are at right now. And I believe that is the end. Oh, shit. I believe that is the end of our presentation. It is. Thank you. We can't wait to show you what we've got as we finish our next sprint. And we are really looking forward to greenlighting again.
Hi, my name is Bart Driscoll. Hello, online people. I'm the project lead of Random Rebellion, Sprint 4. For this sprint, we chose to have a more defined goal for what we wanted to get done as our last push. Not more to get everything done this sprint, but to more get a bigger task done that is a bigger component of what the whole game should be. And what that goal was, or goals, was a simple set of out of game and then getting into game from the very launch, which is login, getting to the lobby, selecting your map, and loading into the map you selected with your lobby. But before I show that off, we have one art asset that we want to show. This is the Fatricio character that our character artist Matt has finished. They're kind of more of a royal, fancy, high-class sorcerer who knows many different skills. So, onto the build. So first of all, you can choose between online and offline, and from there you are then put into a sort of dummy lobby from there, in which for now we have you selecting through the different types of maps from the images there. Once you're on the one you want, you just hit play and it should load up. Now, most of the art that is on these UIs right now is just placeholder, just so we can get some of the functionality through, so we can see if everything is working correctly and be able to test it. And since, as Ben said earlier, show off your problems, these maps aren't exactly done yet. We just have the kind of basic layouts of them so far. There's not much set design done in any of them, and they are roughly optimized, as you can see. Just awesome. There we go. So for right now, we just have the camera roaming around the map, just to show off what exactly the layout looks like, what the theme of it looks like. So this map is sort of a more open temple for some of the people of one team to be able to learn at, to study at, to grow their skill at. And the idea for the map, or the game mode of the map, is to have it as a sort of capture of the flag game mode, with 2 lanes going down either side while having the bigger center crossover area in the middle that teams will be able to run through. Close that and reopen it. The next map is our factory map, which is, for the other team, a more manufacturing of weapons kind of factory, which holds a main kind of stockpile of their materials being processed into certain weapons that they would use on any kind of siege vehicle they would have, or simple arms that they would give to their army. like with the other maps, it's not exactly done yet, but it's more to show off what we have done for it so far. Not exactly the whole layout, but more of one main room that is fully done. This map was more going to, or the game mode for this map is going to be a sort of team deathmatch or elimination style, where you'd have teams split up and fighting each other. And what would be added onto that map later on would be a kind of circular system of hallways that would go around the outside of that main big room. And lastly, we have our cavern level, which is going to be a bit more open but long-winded level for teams to capture and hold different key points on the map to secure the area. And what it's supposed to be like is a more natural formed cave that one of the teams has broken into and using it to harvest crystals, which hold certain powers that they need in order to use for the war. And that is what we have so far.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Alex Watson, project lead for Operation Red Rhino, and this is our Sprint 4 progress. Our goals were to kind of flesh out the node vote system that we got working last sprint. We got a couple things working in there that just kind of get that whole system closer and closer to finalization. And then we wanted to finalize our first 6 nodes out of the 11 on our first map. That way we could get one side of the map working, flip those, and get a fully play testable map out of that, so we could test a full game. And then just play testing, making sure weapons balancing is up to speed, making sure the roll balancing, how fast people are moving, how much damage people are taking, how much damage people are doling out. We just want to make sure that all that makes sense and doesn't just totally break it. Here is a rifle we got from one of our subcontractors. This was Steven. He did Dragunov for us there, and then Isaac came through and cleaned up the UVs. He had to do a little work on the butt stock down there just to close off some of the open areas, and then he actually did the texture work on it as well. So the node vote system, it stores the player teams between levels now. Before everybody got a vote at the end of a node. So now only the winning team gets a vote, and then it also will not allow that team to click on nodes they already have, so that and I'll show you in the build. That way you don't accidentally regress on the map. You're always moving forward. And that's just one more thing. We want to get this, we don't want any caveats to our build as far as the playability of it. And that was one of the big ones. So our first 6 nodes, I'm just going to show off. We got those done. They're fully playable. The art's in and ready to go. So the maps are done, finally. This is our start node. It's an elimination game type, no respawn, and it's our smallest map. The idea there is, this is the one that you're going to play right at the beginning. It's going to set the tone of the match. We want to kind of start with a bang. From there, you could move into the movement node if you would like. This is a neutral bomb game mode. This is the one that we've been showing off for a little bit now. As you eliminate enemies, you earn reinforcements from your team. So as you eliminate the opposing team, you will actually respawn players on your team that have died. You're attacking and defending bridges at either end of the map, and if you destroy the enemy bridge, it will actually turn off this node for them. They will not be able to access it. They won't be able to come through it anymore in this match. This is our scout node. It's an escort the leader game mode. There's no respawns. This one's built because it grants the owning team the scout class. So if you're defending this node, you have access to the sniper rifle. This one's wide open and longer lanes for sniping. Those are just some screenshots of that done map. We have our Grenadier node. This one's a one bomb game mode. You're blowing up the, there's kind of like some tank blocks there in the middle of the road. As you eliminate the enemies again, you earn team reinforcements. The map is designed in kind of a vertical slope down a hill so that you can use that grenade launcher, and it grants the owning team of that the Grenadier class, and they have a grenade launcher. This is our Saboteur node. Again, one bomb game mode. Eliminate enemies for reinforcements. It features a couple breachable points for the Saboteur class, because this one grants the owning team the Saboteur class. And if you see down here, this is actually the objective down here. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but that is that's actually the entrance to a mine. So what you're doing on this one is you're blowing open the entrance to that mine, and then one of the maps that we're planning for next semester is actually going to be in an underground mine there. So that is going to be interesting to see, just like the way the levels transition between each other like that. And then finally our base node. So this is going to be an assault game mode. Capturing zones for the attacking team will actually grant them reinforcements. It's a 3-tiered map designed to basically have waves of defensible points for the defending team, and it grants the defending class the heavy gunner. So I'm actually going to hop into the build and show off the update to our node vote system and hopefully a couple of those new maps. So come in here. I'm just going to go to the bridges node just to start off so that we can, oh, here we go. There we go. Don't need you this time. All right. So if I come in here, let me, sorry, I don't want to blow everybody's ears out with Unreal here. Boink. All right. All right. So as I move through this map, this is one that we've been showing off for a little bit now. This is the one that we've been using throughout the semester just to kind of playtest our game modes, playtest all the changes to the classes and stuff that we've made. But it got the least amount of actual art treatment as far as texture work, models being placed, stuff like that, getting blocking volumes in. Now it's fully playable. Players can't get out of the level in weird spots, or that we know of. All the places that we knew of that you could get out of the level are all blocked off, and we're ready for teams to come in and kind of start banging. Yep, I went to the wrong objective, of course. But that'll give me a chance to kind of talk about it a little bit more. So we focused a lot on also optimization of our levels. That was a big thing going into this. We realized that all of our textures were, since we're drawing so much foliage on the screen, we had to set the resolution for our textures pretty low to kind of get it running at a higher frame rate. Our last couple builds, even before we got all this foliage in, were running at about probably 20 frames per second on this computer, and now we're keeping a pretty steady 30-40 frames per second on all the computers that we've tested on out in the commons. So if I bring this over here, I'll be able to plant it. Something else we got in this sprint, just a quick one, you'll see once I get this planted, it'll actually pop up with the UI for our bomb. That way we're just conveying to the players, hey, there's a new timer. It's not just the game timer anymore that's affecting what's going on here. You're actually on the clock right now. We gotta wait this out, watch this blow up, unless somebody joins and diffuses it in the last couple seconds. So it'll count down, gives you a visual indication when it turns red, just that you're running out of time. Once that blows up, it's going to come in here, and you can see that now I have that movement node. I cannot select that again. The other team, if they were to win the next node, they would be able to select that, and they wouldn't be able to select any of these that they own. But for right now, only the ones that the enemy team owns are selectable by me. I'm actually going to go all the way up to the base node just to show that off, because that's one that we haven't gotten a chance to show off yet. So once that counts down, you'll see that only one vote's been cast. Had there been other players on the other team, they would not have been able to vote on that. So we'll spawn in down here. All right, so I spawned on the defending team here. And again, this one's going to have a kind of unique game mode. We're calling it Assault. It hinges on, there's going to be 3 zones on the map that the attacking team can assault. Capturing that zone grants that team 1 respawn for the entire team. The number of areas that are available to be captured coming into it are based on how many nodes you capture on your way in. So making a beeline, just capturing 1 node is only going to grant your team access to 1 possible respawn in your attacking opportunity here. So this is kind of our first line of defense here. I said that it was a 3-tiered system. The first area is right down over there that they can capture. The second one is actually where I'm standing right here. And then the third one is down in a jungle section over here. One of the things that we talked about a lot is kind of the implementation of the heavy gunner class. You can see these kind of like old abandoned bunkers here. Those are kind of spread throughout the map. The grenadier class can actually take those out so that they will be kind of inaccessible, unusable by the heavy gunner, but the heavy gunner can actually go in there, set up his tripod, and it's a nice defensible position for this. So it all kind of hinges on the way the defending team implements that heavy gunner that they get access to, and then just how many nodes the attacking team is risking getting coming in before making their final push into the base node. So as we continue from here, if I can quit out. The big things on our plate right now are just kind of handling the I always mess up the resolution. Sorry, whoever's coming after me, I'm sorry. It's really just about playability right now. We want our build to have no caveats. When we sit somebody down, we don't want to have to explain things to them. So there's a lot of UI work that we're going to be working on over the next 2 weeks. We're going to get objective markers in for all the game modes so that you're not confused as to what's going on there. And then just knocking out the last of the stuff with those game modes that we need to kind of hash out. Some of the things that are a little bit broken that we need to fix before we get a team of 6 players in there banging their heads against it. And that is all I have for this sprint. Thank you very much.
Put the volume back on.
It was just muted for Unreal. Unless, do you need it back on, Kyrie, for Unreal?
Okay. Let's see. Okay, it's not too bad. Doesn't look like didn't mess up the resolution that bad. So I'm Donald Cheppis. I am the team lead for Calculord. This milestone, we've been focusing a lot on taking our systems, making sure they're good enough to reintegrate into our develop branch. Because of the way we're handling production, until something is done, doesn't need any more work on it, we don't put it into develop. So we're not having a whole lot of features that are kind of semi-broken going up into our develop branch and then having constantly revert and worry about that process. One of the things we've been getting close to finishing is our UI style development. So we ultimately settled on the 3 layouts that you see on the left side there. Yeah, it's the left side. Those are the last of the iterations for how we want the style of the windows to look, how we want the lines and thickness to be, and then we started worrying about what textures and fill do we actually put in. So on the right we see a bunch of stone textures. It's about playing around, seeing what's going to work either light or dark with the backgrounds. We're also looking at different ways we can
create the backing of the window without it actually being a solid window. Our client's not super fan of that. He likes it to be a little more open. So we're messing around with having smoke effects and glow effects that will help separate the foreground elements from the background, as well as doing things like blurring the section or desaturating the section of background that's immediately behind the windows. We're just trying to make sure that we can have our players see the pretty backgrounds that we're putting a lot of time into while maintaining readability in the windows. And then on the right you see we're also playing around with some glass effects for our UI. We're going to be taking that and the stone effects that we saw previously and merging those together, trying to make the UI something that's pretty to look at, because you're going to be looking at it for a long time. Chandler, our concept artist, has been working on the town. That's going to give us a lot of direction when it comes to figuring out how we want to handle customization in the town for players. He's doing an interior concept for some marketing to generate interest for our next investment round, as well as working on exterior concepts. This is probably 60% done. He's going to be going through and changing up the buildings, adding people, boats, things like that, trying to make it so that it's not so uniform across the piece. But once we have this kind of figured out and how we want to present the town, then we know how we need to place our various gameplay elements, because as you scroll through the menus, there's a part that looks at a point in the scene. That's, say you go to the shop, there's the shop right there, and then you've got the window over it. So we're working on the process of getting those that layout figured out. We've also been spending a lot of time with our avatar optimization. We want to be able to run very well on mobile as well as desktop. And so something we've been running into is when you've got a bunch of customization pieces, that can cause some issues with performance down the road. So we've been cleaning up we've got the male teen base on the left, and on the right we've got some work that's being done on the rigging and the layering of the pieces. That way we make sure that the shirt is always the very bottom layer above the avatar skin layer. That way you never have your shirt over your armor and it doesn't clip weirdly. We've also been focusing on optimization. So there's been two ways we're helping our optimization with our avatars. First, we're baking our avatars in the background once you load into the application. So the baking takes a couple of seconds to do. So we don't want that to have the player wait for the avatar to appear on screen. So we've got a system in place where it currently, pretty instantaneously, generates the unbaked version of the avatar, pulling everything from the backend server and shows it on screen. And then there's a background process that runs that bakes all of the meshes and textures and UVs together, or not the UVs, but it bakes all those elements together so it's a single object, and that reduces the performance cost. And then once that's successfully happened, it just swaps out the model. So that way the player doesn't have any wait time to load into their avatar scene. We're also working with LODs on our characters, so that way, depending on where you are in the town, you'll have less to draw for characters that are further away, and that helps us with performance as well. We've also been working on the avatar clothing, so I don't have a GIF of it, but on the right we actually have working cloth physics for all of our clothing items, so that way your cape flaps. We're doing some refinements there to make sure it doesn't clip through the character and things like that, as well as worrying about weapon spots. So we're figuring out where to place sockets, messing around with different weapon sizes and types, so that way the character will be able to stow and unstow any weapons that they have, as well as we realized a little bit late in the process that we actually need to make sure our eyebrows are a separate object, because otherwise we can't color them to match the character's hair easily. And so I'll jump into the build. Because of the way we handle our production pipeline, this build just has some new stuff for the shop in it. It doesn't have any of the previous stuff I was showing off because those aren't quite finished and ready to be put into our main develop branch. But we were reworking the shop, so we had we've been trying to overcome some issues we've been having with how do we, can't type and talk at the same time. How do we make sure that everything's properly being pulled whenever the store updates? And so we've had some back-end fixes to make that process work out easier. It also depends on what your account is set to for items. So right now I think my test account doesn't have full access to the store, so it doesn't pull all the icons and things like that. But It should have pulled the tags either way. So it didn't pull the icon and the text, but we actually have a full functioning search feature. So whenever you go through and if you search Helm, anything that has Helm in it will be available, as well as being able to sort by item type. So we can go down to buffs, and we see we have no buffs in this particular shop. And then we can go to armors, and we've got this many armors. And so with that, in combination with all of the other pieces that we're just about ready to merge in and have those finished up, we will be at the full production version of the prototype we had last semester, which means that everything's running much more smoothly, and we'll also be able to start hooking up the teacher console since we don't have any weird sort of hacky ways to get things to work. So we're going to have, by the time of Greenlight, everything put together and some interaction with the teacher console, so we'll have the full loop to show for our next round of investment. And that's what we've been working on Calculord so far. We also are finally filling the illustrator positions that we've put out, as well as bringing on a pair of educational consultants. So we're also spending a fair bit of time expanding the team, getting people on board, and figuring out a lot of the questions we had about how to handle interaction with different grades and things like that. So we've got a pretty good roadmap for continuing on in the future and development in the long term. And thank you for your time.
Hello, I'm Kyrie Summerall, project lead for World of Marts. Now, I did have some issues with my build, so I'll be talking to Red Rhino about how they got theirs working. But all of our build issues were from an automated tool. Not sure how to fix that, but we're going to be looking into that today. So we have some videos to show you instead. For starters, this is one of our other characters, Rokujo, who is finished, textured, and ready to be into the game. We're going to be starting our mocap today, so hopefully we finish all the characters' animations as well as this character. This is our mob boss, so he's going to be one of the event ticks that happen into our levels, which spawns, and you'd have to kill him in order to stop him from, you know, making your life hell pretty much while you're trying to attack the other players. This is another one of our characters, Toriki Raiget. She will be textured. She's still working on too, but we hope to have her animations done as well. So by the next sprint, we'll have all the animations for all three of our characters implemented into the game so they can attack each other and use their various different abilities. Okay. This is one of our levels, the throne room level. We have it so all of our animations are quick and smooth. The texture for the level is done. All the collision is good and fixed. So our main thing is to implement all of our combat blueprints as well as make our animations a little more smoothly and a little more fluid. We have our key charge, our weapon swap works, our heavy and light combos work as well, and we're going to be working on a block animation as well. Up here, showing that he does take damage in the corner. We just don't have a hit reaction thing for him yet. So we're going to be implementing that into the build as well. And hopefully we can get some nice combat going that's fluid. There's 6 different combos. So there's, between that combination, your movesets are always going to be changing. This is one of our characters in the game. So right now he doesn't have any animation, so he's just sitting there just messing with you. And for that one, this is another one. So we do have all the abilities in the game as well. This is one of them. We have it so there's a cooldown. You can select abilities. Anytime you use an ability, the key will run out. We have it so the stamina drains as well the more you attack. The more you do get attacked, there's an awakening bar that happens that will allow you to transform the character. We're not going to have that in the game yet, but it's there, and the blueprints is there for it. That works. Also, we have a death in there. Right now for our deaths, instead of having an animation, we have it so it ragdolls. So once, there you go. See, so when you kill him, when you kill a player, that's what would happen. And this is our mob boss right now. He's just a placeholder, but this is what we're going to use to fill that character in. And that is what we have so far. Thank you.
All right, another round of applause for all of the hard work. Very good. All right, you want to end
Thanks
it?
for screwing up a resolution, Alex.